I found out what my town really celebrates on Easter Sunday. I fucking hate Easter, and it all goes back to that dirty town. I know what they do there. I know what they are. This is the story of what happened on an Easter Sunday years ago, how I lost my childhood, how I stopped trusting people, and how I learned to hate my father. I had just turned 16, raised by a single dad. Our relationship was strained. He blamed me for my mother's death. She died the day I was born. My birthday had always been her funeral. We didn't celebrate it, not really. And honestly, I didn't care. It all felt hollow, like someone going through the motions just to feel normal. Back then, we lived in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment until my dad finally got a job that paid well enough to upgrade. He bought us a modest but decent house in a quiet little town across the state line. Before I knew it, we were packing boxes and driving through unfamiliar roads on a grey April morning. I watched my old world fade in the rearview mirror, the streets I grew up on disappearing into fog and pine. Somewhere on that long drive, he turned to me and said he wanted to fix things. Start over. Do it right this time. I remember shrugging, eyes still on the window. I'd heard that shit before. When we finally pulled into the town, it looked like something from a postcard. Quaint homes with flower beds, old trees lining the roads, pastel shutters, friendly faces, the kind of place that shouldn't exist anymore. We reached the new house and started unpacking. For the first time in a long while, I felt something like excitement. Maybe there was a chance. Maybe things could get better between us. That night, some neighbors invited my dad to a welcome meeting. Just him. I wasn't invited, but the teenage rebellion in me didn't like being left out. Curiosity pulled me in, and boredom sealed the deal. I snuck out after him, creeping through the dark streets until I found the town hall. The back windows weren't latched. One was cracked just enough for me to hear. Most of it was small talk, boring, polite nonsense. But then I heard something that made me stop. "The town," an older man said, his voice calm, smooth, and rehearsed, "has enjoyed good fortune for a long time. People meet their partners here. Promotions come quickly. The crops are tall, and the seasons are kind." I pressed closer, my breath catching. "But when it's unhappy," he continued, "we see the opposite. Clouds that don't leave, crops that rot, accidents, death. Everything turns grey." A pause followed. The room seemed to hold its breath. "So when we receive new neighbors," the man added, "especially someone like yourself, we believe it's important to explain the situation and to understand it's all for the greater good." That was when I heard my father, sobbing, soft and deliberate, like he was trying not to. I'd never heard him cry. I leaned closer to see, but before I could get a look, the talking stopped. The crying stopped. Dead silence. I bolted, ran all the way home through empty streets, adrenaline pounding in my chest. I didn't stop until I was under the covers. When he returned later that night, he wasn't the same. He smiled too much, said too little. He moved like he was wearing his own face like a mask. His eyes were hollow, his jaw clenched, his mouth stretched into a grin that didn't reach anything. Something was off, but I couldn't name it. The next day, he told me about the town's annual Easter egg hunt, said they needed help setting it up. Volunteers usually laid out eggs for the younger kids to find. The hunt took place in the woods just outside of town. He said I should help, asked what I thought. I argued, said it sounded stupid. He pushed back, said it would help me meet people. "It's good for the kids," he told me. "Sam, come on, get out a little. This could be special." What finally convinced me? A $20 bill. $20 fucking dollars. That's what it took. Not just for me to agree, but for him to offer it. I'd never been handed money by my father directly before. I took it, feeling like I'd just won something. I was a teenager, hungry for approval and attention, and I took the bait. The week passed in a blur. The townsfolk were welcoming, almost too much so. Adults waved when I walked past. They already knew my name. They asked questions like I'd always belonged there. But the kids, they stared from behind curtains. Some peeked through cracked doors. Others just watched from porches, unmoving. None of them smiled. They looked at me like I was already dead. When Easter morning came, it was drizzling. A thin, steady rain barely touched the ground. My dad sat in his chair by the window, watching it fall. I thought he was asleep. Lost in thought, maybe thinking about my mom again. But then he spoke, without turning around. "Thanks for doing this, Sam. The younger kids will appreciate it." He paused. I heard him swallow. "I'm proud of you for getting involved, especially after just moving here." "Yeah," I said awkwardly. "So, what do I need to do?" He raised a hand and pointed toward the kitchen. "On the counter, a few baskets filled with eggs. Take the trail into the woods. You'll see a tree with a pink ribbon tied around it. That's where the hunt happens. Keep it in that area." "All right," I said. Seemed easy enough. I'd always liked being out in nature. It used to calm me. I grabbed the baskets and headed to the door. Just as I stepped outside, he spoke again, softly. "Sam?" I looked back, but he didn't turn. "Happy Easter," I said it back. Then I left. That was the last time I ever heard my father's voice. The rain tapped gently against my coat. Pat, pat, pat. I pulled my hood tighter, mounted my bike, and started toward the woods. Despite the sun's best efforts to pierce the clouds, the town felt still, empty, like it had taken a deep breath and hadn't let it out yet. A ghost town with flowers in the windows. I rode alone, accompanied only by the soft hiss of my tires on wet pavement and the rhythm of the rain. Oddly, it calmed me, and for a moment, I felt good. Maybe the kids would appreciate what I was doing. Maybe this was worth more than the $20 my dad gave me. Maybe they'd stop looking at me like I was some kind of ghost. When I reached the trailhead, I leaned my bike against the post and stepped into the forest. The trail began calmly enough. Rain tapped the leaves overhead, forming a steady rhythm. The scent of wet bark and moss filled the air. Animals chirped and rustled in the distance. Eventually, I came to a tree with a faded pink ribbon tied loosely around its trunk. The knot had long since sagged, the color drained by time and weather. There was barely a trail beyond it, just wild undergrowth. A flicker of unease crept into my mind. Don't get lost. So I started leaving eggs behind me. Some I tucked beneath low branches or under leaves. Others I left visible for the younger kids, or for me if I needed to find my way back. Here and there I found eggs already scattered. Old, faded, forgotten, not hidden particularly well. Maybe no one had ever come back for them. The rain thickened as I moved deeper. The canopy above grew denser, turning the light grey and cold. I flicked on my flashlight, starting to wonder if the kids would even be able to hunt today. That thought was interrupted by a crunch beneath my boot. I looked down. A crumpled Easter basket. Some eggs still inside. Faded. Waterlogged. My breath caught. Why would someone drop a full basket like this? That voice from earlier returned. Because they ran. A sharp jolt of fear hit me. My chest tightened. I lifted the flashlight and slowly scanned the woods. Time to go, I thought. Then, crunch, snap. The sound of branches bending, foliage shifting. Something large is moving nearby. I spun toward the sound, flashlight trembling in my grip. The beam flickered, then died. The batteries were fresh. I knew they were. A silhouette emerged. Massive, easily the size of a pickup. Its fur rippled in the wind, barely visible through the mist and trees. Two enormous ears twitched upright, rotating in my direction. I took a step back. Then lightning cracked through the sky. Brief, blinding. And in that instant, I saw it. A fucking bunny. But wrong. Its teeth jutted out in a sickly yellow, chipped and gnawed. Blood. Dried. Caked. Forgotten. clung to its muzzle like paint. Its eyes bulged, mismatched and wild, bloodshot and twitching. One was glazed over, milky. The other locked onto me. It foamed at the mouth. Its breath came in short, raspy puffs. Crooked whiskers curled like wires off its patchy, rotted fur. Its claws, long and gnarled, dug into the dirt beneath it, flexing and twitching like it was trying to feel the pulse of the ground. It didn't move. It just stared. Then the lightning faded, and I was left in the dark with its silhouette. I ran, screaming, crying, desperate. The storm howled above me, wind ripping through branches. I tripped over roots, slipped on soaked moss, and crashed through low brush. I followed the trail of eggs, praying they'd guide me out. Behind me, it moved, thundering, stomping, squealing, a high-pitched, throat-shredding shriek that pierced my eardrums and rattled my skull. I ran, not looking back, not daring to. A few times I swore I felt it, right behind me, breath hot against my neck, ready to grab me by the throat, shake me until I was limp, then tear me apart. I kept running. Branches scraped my arms. The rain blinded me. My lungs felt like they'd split open. I collapsed at the edge of the woods near the trailhead, fell face first into the mud, scrambled onto my back, scooting backward, heart hammering, sobs choking my breath, and then I saw them, eyes, two of them, watching from the darkness of the trees, unblinking. Then they disappeared. I hauled myself onto my bike, panting, soaking wet, blood running down my knee. I was ready to scream, to warn the town about what lived out there. But then I looked down the street. Almost every house had its lights on. Silhouettes stood in windows, watching, waiting. That was when it clicked. They knew. They all knew. I didn't take the road home. I pedaled into the back streets, then into the woods. I didn't stop until the town was behind me. I ran. It wasn't easy. It never has been. Years passed, shelters, sidewalks, borrowed beds. I didn't know what to say. Didn't think anyone would believe me. Eventually, luck found me. Grotesque, terrifying luck, which I had to remind myself I wasn't part of that town anymore. I found an okay job, a crummy apartment. I met other kids I met at the shelter who became somewhat friends to keep in touch with. Curiosity got the better of me one night. I looked up my dad on Facebook. He has a new wife, 2 daughters, a big smile on his face. His first daughter? Forgotten. Every Easter, I think about the shriek, about which kid who wasn't lucky enough to escape. I still check the weather in that town, just to see. This morning, it was raining, but now, an unexpected burst of sun, not a cloud in the sky. A beautiful day, they say. I fucking hate Easter.